Easy it hurts. The words slipped from the lips of the younger sister Mary as she lay across the fallen log, her body trembling, her white dress torn and muddied from the long crawl through the underbrush. Her older sister Ruth pressed close beside her, their arms entwined, their faces pale in the shafts of late afternoon light filtering through the tall pines. The rancher Elias stood behind them, his weathered hand resting lightly on Ruth's shoulder, his other hand holding the reins of his faithful horsebuck who waited patient and still. Elias froze for a moment, his eyes soft with understanding, his heart heavy with the weight of what he saw. Then he spoke softly, his voice low and steady like the wind through the cottonwoods back home. It'll be over quick. He knelt slowly, his knees creaking the way they do after 60 years of hard work and long rides. His hat tipped back, revealing gray hair and lines etched deep from sun and sorrow and smiles. Mary looked up at him, her blue eyes wide, with pain and trust, her breath coming in small gasps. Ruth turned her face toward him, tears leaving clean trails down her dusty cheeks. Elias reached into his vest pocket and drew out a clean handkerchief, the one his wife Clara had embroidered with tiny flowers years ago before she passed. He wiped Mary's forehead, gentle as a father with his child. "You girls been through it, haven't you?" he said, his voice warm like coffee on a cold morning. Ruth nodded, unable to speak. Her hand clutching Mary's, Elias looked at the leg Mary favored the way she kept it. Still the swelling already showing beneath the torn fabric. "Broken, I reckon," he said, not asking, just knowing. He had seen it before in calves, in colts, in men fallen from horses or caught in stampedes, but never in two young women lost and hurting in his woods. He stood slowly and whistled. Lowbuck stepped forward, ears forward, trusting as always. Elias unbuckled a saddlebag and pulled out a soft wool blanket, the one he kept for cold nights on the range, laid it over the log beside the sisters. "Let's get you comfortable now," he said. Ruth helped Mary shift her body, slow and careful, until she lay on the blanket, her head in Ruth's lap. Elias knelt again, and with hands that had gentled 1,000 frightened animals, he lifted the hem of Mary's dress just enough to see the injury clean break. He murmured, "Looks like just below the knee." Mary whimpered. "Easy, now," Elias said. "I've set more bones than I can count." He looked at Ruth. "You hold her hand. Tight." Ruth took Mary's hand in both of hers. Elias reached into his pocket and pulled out a small flask, the kind men carried in the old days. "Not for drinking. Now," he said with a small smile, "just a sip to ease the bite." He tipped a little into Mary's mouth. She coughed but swallowed her eyes, never leaving his good girl. He said he took a straight stick from the forest floor, strong and smooth, and laid it beside her leg. Then he tore strips from his own bandana, the red one Clara had tied around his neck. "The morning," she said. "Goodbye." Ruth watched his hand, steady and sure. "You've done this before," she whispered. "More times than I like to remember," Elias said. "But always with care." He wrapped the bandana above Mary's knee firm, but not cruel. Then he placed the stick along her leg and began to bind it with more strips, slow and steady. Mary cried out once. Elias paused. "Breathe with me now," he said. In slow out, slow, Mary followed his voice, her chest rising and falling. Ruth breathed with her. Their eyes locked. Elias finished the splint, his fingers gentle. "There now," he said. "It's set. The pain will ease." He sat back on his heels and looked at the sisters. "How'd you come to be out here all alone?" he asked. Ruth's voice was soft. "We were traveling to Aunt Beatrice, in Willow Creek. The stage lost a wheel. The driver said to wait, but night came, and the wolves." Mary shivered. "We ran." Elias nodded. "I heard the stage broke down yesterday. Figured someone would come looking, but I was out checking the north fence. Found your tracks." At dawn he stood and offered Ruth his hand. "Let's get you both home. My place isn't far. Clara's old rocking chair is still by the fire, and there's soup on the stove." Ruth looked at Mary. "Can she ride?" Elias smiled. "Buck's carried worse. He'll take you both." He helped Ruth stand, then lifted Mary as if she weighed no more than a sack of flour, settling her in front of the saddle. Ruth climbed up behind her, arms around her sister. Elias took the reins and led Buck slow through the trees. The sun was Low now painting the forest, goldbirds called their evening songs. The sisters leaned together. Elias walked beside them, his hand on Buck's neck. You know, he said after a time. When Clara was carrying our first, she fell in the barn. Broke her wrist. I was scared to death, but old Doc Harlan showed me how to set it. Said the body knows how to heal, if we give it kindness and time. Ruth listened. Mary's eyes were closed now. The rhythm of the horse lulling her. Elias continued. We lost that baby, but Clara never lost her gentle way. She'd sit with hurt creatures, talk to them soft, just like I'm talking now. He looked up at the sisters. Kindness is the strongest medicine we got. The cabin came into view, smoke curling from the chimney. A dog barked once, then wagged its tail. Old Shep Elias said, He'll sniff you, but he's gentle. He tied Buck to the rail and helped the sisters down. Mary leaned on him, her arm around his neck, Ruth on the other side. They walked slow up the porch steps. The door opened to warmth, the smell of stew and wood smoke. Elias settled Mary in Clara's rocker quilt over her lap. Ruth sat close on a stool. Elias ladled soup into bowls, thick with carrots and potatoes, the kind mothers made. They ate in silence at first. Then Mary spoke. Thank you, her, voice small but clear. Elias smiled. No thanks needed. This is what neighbors do. Even when they haven't met yet. Ruth looked around. The cabin was simple, a table worn smooth photos on the wall. Clara young and smiling, Elias beside her. A boy between them. Her son Thomas. Elias said, seeing her gaze. He's in Montana now. Has his own spread, but he calls every Sunday. Ruth nodded. We lost our parents last winter. Mary and me. We've been making our way. Elias set his spoon down. I'm sorry. Loss carves deep, but it leaves room for new things too. He stood and fetched a small tin salve for the bruises. He rubbed it gentle on Mary's arms where branches had scratched. On Ruth's hands, the scent of mint and honey filled the air. Night settled outside. Crickets. Singing. Elias lit a lamp. It's glow soft. You'll sleep here, he said. I'll take the barn. Ruth shook her head. We can't take your bed. Elias chuckled low. I've slept under stars more nights than in a bed. Besides, Clara would have my hide if I let guests sleep in the hay. He fetched clean nightgowns. Ones Clara had sewn soft and worn just right. The sisters changed in the back room. Mary's splint secure. When they came out, Elias had made tea chamomile from the garden. They sat together, the rocker creaking slow. Ruth sipped. You've been alone a long time. Elias nodded. 10 years since Clara, but never really alone. The land keeps me company. The animals' memories. He looked at Mary. How's the leg? Better? She said. The pain is dull now. Good. Elias said. Sleep will help. He stood. I'll check on Buck, then turn in. You call if you need anything. The door closed soft behind him. The sisters looked at each other. Ruth tucked a strand of hair behind Mary's ear. He's kind, she whispered. Like Papa was. Mary nodded. I feel safe. They climbed into the big bed, the sheets smelling of sun and lavender. Ruth held Mary close. The splint between them. Outside, Elias sat on the porch, Shep at his feet. He looked at the stars. Clara. He said soft. I found 2 lost lambs. You'd like them. He smiled. The next morning. Sun crept through the curtains. Elias was up early. Bacon sizzling, coffee perking. The sisters woke to the smells. Mary sat up slow. Ruth helped her to the table. Elias had fashioned a crutch from a sturdy branch. Try this, he said. Mary stood, took a step, then another. It holds. She said. Elias grinned. We'll get you to Willow Creek, but not today. You need rest. Ruth poured coffee. Her hands steady now. They ate together, talked of small things, the way the light hits the hills, how Shep once treed a bear, the best way to bake cornbread after breakfast. Elias hitched Buck to the wagon, soft hay and the back pillows from the bed. He helped Mary and Ruth beside her. Then he drove slow. The road winding through meadows, wildflowers blooming, bees humming. They passed the place where the stage had broken. The driver waved. Found your girls, he called. Elias waved back. They're with me now, at Aunt Beatrice's. The house was white with blue shutters. Aunt Beatrice ran out, tears and hugs. The sisters clung to her. Elias stood back. Then Beatrice came to him. You brought them safe. He shook his head. They brought themselves. I just lent a hand. Beatrice hugged him. You're a good man, Elias, he blushed. Just doing what Clara would. He turned to the sisters. Mary reached out. Will we see you again? Elias smiled. Willow Creek's not far. I ride through most weeks. You save me a piece of pie. Mary laughed. We will. Ruth hugged him. Thank you. He patted her back. Kindness goes both ways. He climbed back in the wagon, Buck eager to go as he rode away. He looked back once, the sisters waving, Aunt Beatrice's arm around them. He tipped his hat, the sun warm on his face. Back home. He unsaddled. Buck brushed him. Slow. Shep followed. That night, he sat by the fire, Clara's rocker empty, but not really. He poured a small glass of whiskey, toasted the dark to lost lambs found too, kindness that circles back years past, but not so many. Elias still rode to Willow Creek. Mary's leg healed strong. She married a schoolteacher. Had 2 boys. Ruth opened a bakery. Her pies famous every Sunday. Elias came, sat at the counter, drank coffee, ate pie. The boys called him Grandpa Elias. He taught them to ride, to whittle, to listen to the wind. One evening, as the sun set, gold, Mary, now gray at the temples, sat with him on the porch. Ruth inside with the babies. You saved us that day, she said. Elias shook his head. You saved me. I was getting hard living alone. You reminded me. Kindness isn't a debt. It's a gift. Mary leaned her head on his shoulder, like she did that first night. The crickets sang Shep, long gone. But a new dog at their feet. Elias closed his eyes. Easy, he whispered. It'll be over quick, but the good part.